Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Danny's Detours, where we talk about anything and everything life related. Consciousness is our campus. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and I'm out and about again. A little bit of a wet one this morning with my two favourite compadres, Paddy and Willow. Yeah, but like I always like to say, it's a fantastic day because, you know, when it's a little bit wet like this outside, it's nice and quiet, innit, you know. Not many people like to come out, but, you know, I'm out in all weathers, me, guys. Doesn't bother me whatsoever because we can find beauty. You know, it doesn't have to be sun shining all the time in order to see the beauty in life, does it, you know? Not only that, it gives you time to reflect, you know, because I was thinking about this last night, and some of the moments in my life where I've gained some of my innermost strength, knowledge and wisdom has been in solitude. And a lot of people, they're kind of like scared of the thought of solitude, because you get a lot of people that they look for validation from others, or validation from having to buy things or keep interacting. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, don't get me wrong, like, we've all been guilty of it, guys, you know. But they always say, always fear the person that doesn't need validation from anybody. And I've got to that point in my life now where I don't need validation from anyone. Not even my own family, nothing, because I managed to learn and gain everything from within, and that is where I've gained my power, you know. So just try it, get yourself out and about, because you know what it is, right? A lot of people, they can't stand the thought of being on their own. I mean, and it doesn't mean to say that, like, oh, when you're on your own, you're a hermit, or, you know, oh, you're lonely. No, because when you're on your own, that is when everything comes into clarity. That is when you become one with God, because that is when you can hear everything, you know. That is when the silence, that is when everything starts to become more clear and you can hear everything, you know. Paddy's here. Yeah, so it's just find it very interesting, because we're in a world at the moment now where, you know, we go online and everyone's just like, oh, look at me, or like this, like that, or, oh, you know, even with the families and stuff like that. And it's like, a lot of the times, guys, no one's really bothered, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of it's all for sure, but they always say, fear the person that is willing to be on their own and doesn't mind their own company. You know, and that doesn't mean to say that, you know, I don't want to be around people or anything. I'm not saying that, because I am a very social person, but I get a lot of peace now just through doing stuff like this, you know. Like, look at that little blackbird over there. You know, just being out in nature, just appreciating everything that we've got around us. You know, this is where I gain my solitude, and this is where I gain my peace, you know. But yeah, like I say, thank you so much for joining me again. I'm going to sit under the old thinking tree. I like it under here. But yeah, thank you for everyone for joining me back on the channel. I don't know what's going on with my thingy today, it's a bit loose. There we go, that's better. Yeah, thank you for joining me back on the channel, and thank you so much to everyone who has liked, commented and subscribed to the channel. You know, I'm really happy with the way the channel's going. We're on 128 subscribers now, so welcome the new subscriber to my channel. You know, make sure that everyone does go back to some of my earlier videos so they can get an insight as to like who I am as a person, you know, and what I talk about on this channel, which is anything and everything, but mainly about consciousness. Because at the moment, we are going through ascension into 5D. And what I mean by that, guys, is people are starting to wake up to the fact that the world that we are living in, that we thought was our world, you know, it was literally just a prison. But most people don't see it, and it's a prison within a prison. But it's only until you wake up and realise of, you know, what's going on, what they're doing, that you start to break free from this prison. But and I'm noticing it a lot more online as well. Like a lot more people are sort of like waking up to it. But I'll be honest with you guys, for the last God knows how many weeks, I've been exhausted, and I've been getting full night's sleep as well. So I woke up this morning, I got out of bed, and I'm still yawning. Like I still feel tired. So there's a lot of big shifts going on with these solar flashes, planetary alignment, whatever you want to call it. But I definitely feel as though like I'm moving into a new timeline in my life now, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, there's a lot going on in this country. Do you know what? It's not even in this country, but all over the world. You know, we're going to go, apparently they're anticipating one of the biggest economic crashes ever. And they're not talking about this in the media, you know. They're not talking about it because they're covering it all up, because they want you to think that everything's okay, everything's fine, and when, you know, if all you're ever doing is following the mainstream media, then good luck, you know what I mean? Because these days, especially in the world that we're living in now, you do have to do your own research. And there's a couple of guys who I follow actually online. They were saying about the bonds, like, because we live in a debt-ridden society, don't we? Everything's backed by debt, but they were saying like because of the US bonds, and also in the UK, all over the world, Europe, whatever you want to call it, and they're struggling to sell. No one wants to buy the debt, because what they normally do, they offset it by, you know, the stocks, bonds, whatever you want to call it, and they normally get bought up, and the majority of that gets bought up by the Japanese. But obviously, you know, none of that is getting bought up. So there's a lot of big change. Just to let you know, there is a lot of big changes coming, and we're already starting to see it and feel it because of, you know, inflation, whatever, and that's all due to money printing. You know, because we have money printing, this is what causes it to, you know, to inflate the currency. Like I spoke about it. They've been doing it for thousands of years, though, guys. They've been doing it with the Romans with coin clipping, and it's exactly the same thing. You know, where you think about it, where you've got you've got to look at it like this, where they used to clip the sides of the coins, melt them down to create more coins, which is what devaluing the currency. And they do the exact same thing with money printing. So you think about it, when you just print money out of thin air and it's not backed by anything, what does that do to that national currency? It deflates it, not deflates it, inflates it. It makes it more inflationary, which devalues it. And this is where inflation comes from, but not a lot of people know or understand this. But the only way in which to pay back that debt or to restabilize the economy is by printing more money. So yeah, there's some interesting times coming up, but you know what, guys, it doesn't bother me and it doesn't scare me one bit. You know why? Because we are eternal, we are everlasting. You create your own reality, and I've learned to find throughout my life, I feel as though God has been preparing me for such moments like this, because you've got to learn to find calmness in the chaos. You know, you find calmness in the chaos, and if your life has been built upon, you know, if you've had an easy life, then your life's going to be hard. But let me just tell you this, guys, my life has not been easy, so I'm ready. And I'm not worried either way, because at the end of the day, right, you know, what will be will be. And there's no point expending energy on something that we cannot control. We can only control how we react to things, how we perceive things, and you know, everything else we leave up to the powers that be, which is God. But yeah, just a few things that I wanted to talk about there, guys. But I tell you what, it's an absolutely fantastic day today. I know it's we're a bit overcast and that, but at the end of the day, guys, it's nice and refreshing. But yeah, like I always say, thank you so much for the love and support. But don't forget to check me out on my socials. My socials are below in the description. And yeah, but for me, Danny Detours, Paddy and Willow, hope you have a fantastic day. Love you loads. Peace.